I am now 3 tracks into my introduction with METALITE, and I've had a very great time, as I typically do among European artists. I've spoken in lavish praise in many iterations of my content, specifically themed around music. The European landscape, if you've never accessed it before, is dynamic, especially if you're a metal fan like me and you gravitate towards, again, the more aggressive and experimental of styles. In my opinion, metal is just a favorite of mine. The European landscape has so much talent just yearning to be spoken of. And often, again, as I said in my circles, I think I've ventured into this space even more so specifically because it's seldom spoken of in my social setting. I bring up groups by name that I come across. I'm like, hey, you know, this name or that name, no one knows who I'm talking about. But it does put me in a bit of a unique space because, again, I found where the talent is. And sure, we've got talent, you know, across the world. I'm not trying to in any way diminish perhaps an artist maybe in America or some other country. It's just the European landscape really has impressed me. And I would imagine for some of you it's probably the same sentiment. And I love being able through European exposure to gauge new talents. And that's been the case, you know, with METALITE. Well, really, when I started covering them, it was through that introductory tease, if you will, from another, at one time unfamiliar, but now very familiar talent, Mortemia. He's a Norwegian one-man gothic symphonic metal artist. You've never heard his work before. Through Lost Horizon, he did a collaboration of Erica Olsen, the front lady of METALITE, and I said at the time, she impressed me so much with her vocal presence, I have to hear more. And I teased, you know, at some point, METALITE, they'll probably cross over on this channel. And after consulting with a number of other groups in preparation, because again, his model in terms of collaborations have introduced me to so many different talents. Ad Infinitum, Follow the Cypher, Anima Veil, who's the, or I'm thinking of, there's another one recently, Vulturian. I just covered their music, in fact. I finished covering for now. Of course, there's an open door there for any more, because I love that group. METALITE, I told you would be coming, and now it finally is. And I've had a great time so far from what I've listened to in terms of tracks being Afterlife, something about, I forget the name of the one about the Sanctuary, and then, what was the last one I just listened to? Oh, Apocalypse. Now we're on to Social Butterflies. I kind of like the name. It's a bit unique in terms of a luster. I'm excited to hear more from them, though, and like I've said, you know, these videos in particular are great for first introductions. Perhaps that's the angle you're coming from today. You've never heard METALITE before. If so, you're going to be, I'm sure, for a killer track. Erica's vocals are always great to listen to, but METALITE as well, in terms of metal artists, have been quite engaging. They dip a lot more into the electronic space, which seems to be, considering Follow the Cypher and never favorite of mine, Dead by April, it seems to be a thing in Swedish metal music that a lot more groups employ electronic sound effects into their work. But I've been quite impressed. You know, for me, that's on a selective basis that I say I'm okay with it, and I felt that it's worked for me in part with METALITE's efforts. I've really liked, again, gauging their work and introducing myself to, again, another artist to add to my library, and I hope the same sentiment is expressed for you with Social Butterflies. We're going to listen to this work together for the first time. I got it pulled up in regards to a lyrical video, and for some of you, you know, if you accessed my music coverage before, you know how I like to format my coverage to suit audience tastes. If you're someone who likes to read along with the message of the piece through the lyrical perspective, I tend to apply those manually. It takes a lot longer, so I appreciate perhaps when artists are quite generous in providing those for me, and maybe in a unique way. We'll see how this particular video illustrates itself, but I'm interested to hear again more from METALITE. I've had a great introduction thus far. Let's continue our way through presently Biomechanicals. With the last track currently of what I have lined up in regards to covering that album, let's gauge this piece and hear it for ourselves and how good I'm sure it will be. There's our wind up. It's driving with me. Okay, let's see where this goes. Fabulous strength, beautiful presence. Dipping right more in that aggressive edge, I love it. This is, I think, the most aggressive of what I've heard from them thus far. That's great, you know, I tend to gravitate more to that as a metalhead. That's my preferred genre and tone. Oh, a bit of a variance in the key, okay. Let's see where this progresses. Great riffs, highly engaging. Like I said, powerful range. Mortinia was a fabulous introduction. I've been so pleased of her and what I've heard. Engaging pacing. Great range. Oh, we're turning back to the original key again. I love the shifts. And I like how this piece is specifically mapped as well. We're going to return to the original, the switch, right? Yep. It's interesting again in terms of the tone they picked for those keys. It's a mixture of its. What's what I'm looking for? Individual. Funny creative though. Oh, I love her range and her emphasis. They put a lot of work in terms of the visual component of this piece. I wonder if this is connected to the later release through, because we're about to touch on a virtual world and a couple videos from this. I wonder if that's the thread. Because I sense, again, a conceptual vision. Good beast of a riff there. Nice place from a solo. I just love how it attacks. Just pounces on you. Looking at a butterfly silhouette, how cute. Subtle plug. But hey, if you like this song, you'll love the other ones thus far. Like many, Erica Olson is truly gifted, as well as this band. Yeah, they're a pleasure to listen to. And that's a sentiment that I've expressed of every Swedish band I've listened to. There's apparently a lot. Nice rev up. Great conclusion emphasis. It's a good wrap up. I love listening to her. That's good. You know, like I said, my first impression through Lost Horizon showed me a very talented and equipped vocalist, and it hasn't changed at all since. I'm very impressed with their work. And Social Butterflies isn't really any different. I mean, the song, like I said, is beautifully paced. It's got a nice electric energy, especially with the electronic side, which again, I judge on a selective taste. But I feel METALITE manages it pretty well. And again, I'm very curious to hear if, in the context of Swedish artists, if this is a mainstay in terms of that specific metal scene. Because, I mean, otherwise it's just a coincidence how many groups overlap in that sound. And they all vary in the way they use it. But it's really interesting, again, to see that overlap between Dead by April and Fall of a Cypher and now by METALITE. I don't know. Maybe it's just a surprising coincidence. But I like it. It's got a good flavor. And the track itself, again, I wonder if this is a good interlude for later in terms of subsequent music releases, and we'll get to a virtual world. I bet that's their most current album if you're not familiar with them, and this is indeed a first introduction. I wonder if this is sort of tying in, again, that conceptual vision. It's a good piece, and I think it does evoke a consistent energy that I felt thus far from what I've heard of the album Biomechanicals, which, if you follow the advice of that plug, you should listen to in full. In fact, as I've spoken before as well, I did a rare thing that I don't often do in regards to music coverage. I tend to buy tracks selectively, so I'm like, okay, I want to consult this track, I'll pre-buy it just to help support the artist, and then I'll cover it, right? And then you'll be able to listen to it after. It's otherwise a waiting period. And I'll tell you, it gets taxing, especially when you're like, I really want to listen to this artist, but I haven't given a first impression yet. I did something different for METALITE, and it's the same treatment I gave Ad Infinitum, and this is, in part, I give all credit to Mortimia on this. His introductions to these vocalists painted a beautiful picture of their talents. So much so that I'm like, with Ad Infinitum, I'm going to buy Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. I haven't bought their revisited edition yet of Chapter 1. I have to. But I bought them all, I bought the tracks that were available for Chapter 3. I haven't pre-ordered yet, and I should. I bought all 3 outright. Same with METALITE. I said, you know what? I'm going to take it on faith, and I haven't been disappointed. Not at all. Like many European artists, I'm greatly satisfied at the individuality of a talent I find in this realm of the world, and I'm happy with METALITE's focus. It's a good piece. I mean, like I said, it's got that electronic foundation that they've definitely been pushing into in regards to their music. It's a little more aggressive on the opener. Lots of key changes in scope of the song. It doesn't feel it's got a natural abruptness, but it is in particular structured to the piece. I liked that. It has a placement that fits quite well, so it feels like a good blend, and that the piece is a satisfying scope. I mean, the chorus sections as well are quite interesting too, and they put a lot of work, like I said, into the visual component. So I do again wonder if this is to herald to a conceptual vision that's taken fervor with a virtual world. And when I listen to Biomechanicals on my own in full, maybe I'll get that impression in terms of a story. I've liked the pieces though. I mean, this one is inspiring a bit, and it feels quite relevant in terms of the age of technology that we're now in. There's a blending taking place. They're quite a good talent. I mean, I've been greatly satisfied in what I've heard, and again, I hope for some of you this is a first impression and you feel the same way. I'd love to hear if that is your take down below, or perhaps for those of you who are maybe longtime METALITE fans, I'd love to hear your opinion on this piece, and maybe some of their future works as well down below, if you still wish to disclose your perspective. I'm very excited to hear more, and like I've said, I've got a wealth of tracks coming up, so while I'm wrapping up Biomechanicals in the time being, or for the time being with this release, well, really for now, I will expand on METALITE coverage in the future. So expect more videos coming, because I've been very happy with what I've heard from them, and I have a lot more work to gauge to get a good impression. Well, so far it's been great, but I want to hear more, and I want to be able to share that first experience of you as well, so that, and perhaps the reverence that I have, you can share in that, because I truly feel that METALITE, led by Erica Olson, she really is a talent, and I've really enjoyed what I've heard thus far. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.